That came out wrong.
We're live
Yay!
Woo!
from the
Live from the
darkness.
darkness. All
All
hail acid rain and tits.
Sierra, you're still,
Yeah, you're echoing a bit still.
yeah.
Oh my god, why? I don't know how to fix it.
I don't know.
It happens.
You're not praying to the internet god that is acid rain.
Are you using
I don't.
speakers or headphones?
You know, you could
I
have
have
some headphones on with the. You could have some headphones on with the microphone and just basically cut off the speakers, and that'll work basically, right?
I don't know. My mic's built into my laptop. That's why all my videos sound like crap.
Oh, that
So-
explains a lot, actually.
I don't know how to fix it.
Oh man. Alright, let's talk about the big topic which I kind of learned about, or which we talked about off air, which I kind of learned about on air yesterday with the whole Calgary Expo, or GameGate, some are calling it.
Calgary.
I'm gonna let everyone go from my left, right to the left, so everyone gets. I know Sierra did a video on this, but I would still like her opinion. So that Norwegian guy, you can start.
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading through, basically looking at the videos, and I also listened to the actual recording that was made of the actual panel. And yeah, it was seemed to be a pretty civil discussion actually. I was like, wait, what? They're banned? I mean, I didn't get that at all because it seemed like to be a pretty civil discussion between Honey Badger and the feminist on stage. It was a pretty civil discussion. It was back and forth, and yeah, I was like. And then I read on Twitter, they've been banned. Okay, from what? The entire expo. Oh, why? Well, then I started reading all these Twitter announcements, and yeah, I mean, looking at how this has developed now, it seems like there's a new hashtag that is currently trending on Twitter. It's called ExpoGate, and now it's not just gamers. It's basically everybody who is interested in some sort of entertainment. It's not just people who like gaming. You know, it's people who like comic books, people who enjoy nerd culture in general, are rallying together and asking Calgary Expo, you know, what the fuck? That's what they're simply asking. And Calgary actually put out a half-ass statement, which I really reacted to. They basically copied a link from an article by Mary Sue of all people, and basically put it out there and said they speak for us apparently, and it was full of lies and bullshit and how GamerGate are.
That's what's gonna kill them is because they copied from Mary Sue. Out of all the websites, you don't copy from the biggest asshole SJW website out there.
And there was a lot of
that had Sarah Buck.
I just want to.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I just wanted to say that, and I've also been reading through a lot of the comments from some of the more I mean, a lot of the, of course, you know, the standard people who would be overjoyed by this were, of course, overjoyed. Like Anita posted a tweet, and she was very happy with their decision. But then there was another guy who actually apologized today. He basically compared GamerGate to the KKK and said it was great that Calgary Expo blocked these people, and this guy was the community manager for CD Red Project in North America. But he was hammered on Twitter, and he actually apologized and said, I deeply apologize for comparing GamerGate to KKK. It was an asinine comment, and I do apologize. And he actually repeated that apologize several times because I suspect that he was basically somebody in CDR Project basically had contacted him and said, shut the fuck up, because his Twitter profile basically said that he was the community manager for CD Red Project in North America, and he basically had to retract so many statements because people were threatening to boycott The Witcher 3, and they were sending emails to CDR Project about this guy. And yeah, one day later the apology came. Not just one tweet about it. He posted several tweets where he was basically like, sorry. It was nothing but apologies all the way. And yeah, so I think he didn't expect that kind of reaction, but he got it. He got a ton of people. And when we were talking about boycotting Witcher 3 hashtags popping up, it was like, oh, yeah, I think somebody from CDR Project were like, Yeah, nice going, man. Way to piss
Yeah.
off our fan base right before we release a game.
Yeah, I hope the way to handle these people, just to make this public, the way to do this is to fire them and say you publicly fired this employee.
Yeah, but they didn't fire. I mean, I read the apology. I basically, it was all right.
I
I'm not.
would do this if I was the employee leader. If I seen people running their mouths like that, and they were going to cost my company a lot of money, or even threaten to boycott my product because of their actions, I would fire them to make an example, saying, if any one of you pieces of shit want to act SJW, guess what? Your ass is fired.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much crazy things happening on Twitter, essentially, as it always is. But the crazy part of this is that I was recently, I just wanted to say this because it's kind of relevant. Milo and Sargon was talking about Honey Badger topic today. They had a huge stream where Sargon interviewed Milo, and they actually discussed the Honey Badger situation. And what actually happened with that was that Milo basically said it, you know, GG has accomplished a lot of its goals, and people were ready to kind of move on a little bit, but then this shit happens, and people are pissed again. So it's like, people, you know, all they had to do was basically let people have their own opinions without trying to censor people. And when this shit that happened at the expo happens, it just keeps enraging people further. I mean, they're not going to win anything by this. They're just going to enrage everybody. And so I just get frustrated when I look at this because we are not GamerGate. I mean, I'm not a GamerGater, but I have to say, GamerGate is not making the environment toxic. The people who are antis are. That's just a fact now. I mean, looking at the whole expo situation. Anyway, that's all I have to say on this subject, so leave it, the next person can talk.
Alright, Sierra has to go soon, so yeah, go ahead, Sierra.
Well, let Jack go first because he's got to leave sooner than me.
Okay, Jack.
I'm a long time con and expo goer. I went to the third Gen Con, and I've been to expos and cons in Europe, all over North America, including Dallas Con, what was just called DowCon. And one thing is, back in the day, you could expect all kinds of shit. Developers getting drunk and inviting fans to join them after it, to sit around the bar and talk and get drunk. Now, in the last few years, there's been a serious pussification and just plain retardedness that started surrounding cons. Safe spaces. I can understand. Hey, don't grope the booth girls, you fucking weirdo idiot. But it's ridiculous to the point where it makes me wonder what the hell goes on there. Last con I went to, I had a fan ask me to sign her tits. What are they going to do now? Kick me out for misogyny? If you can't even show up with a poster from something other people don't like, what the fuck are you doing even having an open con? You shouldn't have an open con. If you're going to vet people and kick them out because of their politics, that's just bullshit. That's telling writers, and that's telling artists, and that's telling designers, if you don't have the right politics, we're not going to let you advertise your games, come to expos, and mingle. This is getting ridiculous to the point where it is flat out suppression based on identity politics. I didn't give a shit that some of my fucking coworkers, some of my peers in the gaming industry were like libertarians, hardcore weirdo Republicans, weirdo fucking NAMBLA members. Okay, I didn't hang out with those assholes, but you know what I mean? I didn't think they should have been banned, maybe watched over. But nobody has the right to tell you, you can give us $1,500, but if we don't like your politics after we get your money, we're going to take your money, throw you out, and then tell you you're shit out of luck. That ain't how it should work. And just doing this is going to shoot cons and expos further and further in the ass. And the more of these people you get that only have correct political politics in their cons and expos, the only fans that are going to show up are those with the same politics, until it gets to be this incestuous little circle jerk where everybody's kissing their cousin while they're jerking off their sister. I mean, this is not good for the industry at all, whatsoever. And the fact that people can't see this, that this isn't good for the industry, this isn't good for the consumer, this isn't good for the developers, is ridiculous, because all they're doing is pandering to little crybabies that get offended if their fucking bunny slippers happen to be halfway under the fucking couch that day. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. People need to man the fuck up. Harden the fuck up, Buttercup. You fucking need to, because real life's going to eat you alive. because it's ugly, it's nasty, and it's dirty out there. And crying to mama and crying to Big Daddy is not going to fucking clean up the world for you. So that's what I got to say on that.
Good saying, Jack.
Oh God, I just when you said that don't go crying to mama, I was thinking about the new about the Paramore song "Ain't It Fun."
Oh my god.
The lyrics that song should be played at every feminist con ever.
For some reason, I started thinking of Mother from Danzig. I don't know why.
You're a little low on volume, Lisa.
Again?
I can boost your mic.
Sorry.
Oh, never mind. Do you want to say more on this, Jack? Jack? Oh well. Sierra?
Just a second, I got a toddler who needs a kiss, and I'll continue for a second.
Aww.
Hey, Sierra.
All right. Well, the thing that stands out the most to me, and I actually pointed this out in my video, but I'm not going to say word for word what I said but it's the sheer irony of this. It's like, for how long have they been saying, oh, well, it's GamerGate and it's male gamers that are driving women away and they're making women not want to be part of video games anymore? But here we've got a bunch of feminists who reported 3 women for harassment, and they were the ones who drove those women away. They're the ones who drove a woman to tears for, when she did absolutely nothing wrong. And it boggles my mind. Yeah, I'm not happy about this situation because I've been bullied pretty much my entire life, and anytime I see someone get bullied, it sets me off. It's just I guess the social justice warriors would call it a trigger.
Yeah, I mean,
Sierra,
basically,
you're not the only one that hates bullies. I've been bullied my whole life too, and back in high school, I had this horrific anger management problems, and I did something that no one should ever do to handle bullies, and that's actually start beating the hell out of them. And I almost got expelled.
That's the language. That is the language they understand.
I know,
you don't talk German to a Frenchman and expect him to understand that shit. If you want to deal with a bully, there's a way to do it. This feeling shit, this thinking about how his home life shit doesn't fucking work.
No, it doesn't.
It never will. Knock him on his ass and take the fucking boots to him.
Yeah, and they didn't physically ever bully me because I actually could do more damage to them than they could do to me. But what was problem was just these bullies. What they were doing was they were just attacking. They were like doing constant verbal harassment, and I was working on this very long project, and I was going to save after 30 minutes of typing. They shut the computer off, and I lost all my work, and I just went berserk and started attacking that person that did it. I completely went berserk, and the principal just literally got right in between us.
I
have to say this. I get bullies. I get why you get so mad at them, and I know how you feel, Sierra.
On cons again, I spent quite a bit of money once for Seattle Con when it was Pacific Northwest Con, and at the Evergreen University Con, I spent quite a bit of money, and I had never seen any misogyny. I've always saw women treated with respect. There was a couple of creepers that came around booth babes, but they always got somebody like me to go over and say, yo, man, take your shit and walk. Because it's not cool. You didn't allow that shit. You don't ask a woman, hey, can you wear this outfit to be one of my characters and let some greasy fucking weirdo touch on them? You have somebody walk up and say, get your shit and step. Even if you're not even if you're just an organizer, you can tell them, get the hell away from my booth. But seeing this stuff where all they had was a few things and these feminists just shit their pants over it. And they shit their pants over a joke we were taking decades to infiltrate. That's being a goddamn wise ass. And these people will look for any little fucking thing. And if you don't fight it, if you give these motherfuckers an inch of rope, they will make a noose and hang you with it.
Can I just, I just wanted to say one thing on the whole infiltration bullshit issue, because what the Expo claimed, along with some of the feminists who were there, were that Honey Badger had infiltrated the con. Really? Really? They infiltrated it? Their own fucking badges said Honey Badger Radio. Karen, when she was talking to the feminists, basically introduced herself as an MRA. if that is an infiltration, that's like a German soldier going into Britain during World War II, introduces himself as a German soldier.
Waving
Not
a
exactly
German flag around and singing the fucking singing.
Yeah.
If she was trying to infiltrate, she did a shitty fucking job.
Yeah. So it was
See,
like,
cons were a huge fucking deal because every time I went to fucking cons, I sold most of my fucking back stock, and a couple times I had to do an emergency print run of books. And telling developers and everybody you have to follow our politics or at least give them lip service is complete crap because so many of these SJWs confuse what the writer has characters do or situations in their books or their artwork or whatever with the author's actual politics. I've got an excellent artist, he's a great artist, and he does stuff that he personally is like, I hate this fucking character, I hate his politics, and I'm like, well, so do I, but he's an excellent fucking antagonist. And people would claim that because some of my antagonists are absolutely shitty people. Disclaimer, I'm a terrible person, I'm not a shitty person. But these characters are shitty people. These SJWs want to claim that it's my politics. And it's not. But they have no sense of black and white. They have no sense of anything beyond their own little hug box. And now they want to go in, and irony of irony, like was said earlier, they walk in and they say, "GamerGate girl, go home." I mean, I saw that shit on Twitter. And it's like, wait,
I didn't hear that part.
I'm gonna say it before anyone else does. Go home, GamerGate girl.
Yeah, they posted that shit on Twitter and we're laughing about it.
I mean, the whole idea here. It's like the whole concept of the whole. Somebody actually wrote this on Twitter. I think he stole that line from Robin Williams, but it was a great comment nonetheless. He basically said that feminism is like the George W. Bush Presidential Library. Just the whole concept alone just boggles the mind. It's like, okay.
Politics out of this.
And I will say one thing, if you got grandma going on women in gaming and women in video games and women in books and women at conventions, grandma would go on a curse-filled rant for about 2 hours.
I'll put her on here and have her go on a rant.
Oh, shit, you're mad.
I don't know how many of you guys have seen this. There's a video going around of a 80-something-year-old British granny playing Grand Theft Auto 5. I would pay to see her go to a con and chew these guys out. That would be, I could videotape that, put it on YouTube. It'll get like 2 million views in the course of days. I guarantee it.
Oh, my wife has mocked us. We play Left 4 Dead 2 with teams. My wife helped us as a hunter and mocked us with stuff like, "Oh God, it feels so good inside of you" and shit like that. She'd be over there over voice. "I see you," and just
okay. Your wife's a badass.
And my daughter's the same. My daughter's the same. She was like 11 when I hear from her room. She's back there playing. She's back there playing Unreal, and I hear, "Oh, you fucking rockin' whore!" I mean, these guys can compete.
Oh God!
But I
have respect for you.
But I wanted to make a comment. You said leave the politics out of this, but isn't this precisely what this?
Let Sierra finish first. She has.
Go right ahead, Sierra. Finish.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, the last 2 points I wanted to make were this whole thing. I don't think a lot of people realize that this is big. Like what these people did to the honey badgers, it's big because we pretty much have proof that they discriminated against them. Like proof you can't really deny. So I mean, it's been caught on video and well, not video but audio. So if the honey badgers wanted to, they could take this to court.
Yeah.
So and if they took it to court and they won, can you imagine? Can you imagine what would happen? And because GamerGate would have their backs. GamerGate will be digging up all kinds of evidence to help them and all this stuff. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is huge. I mean, I know I shouldn't ask the honey badgers to take legal action if they don't want to, but man, if they did, can you imagine how big this would be? And with GamerGate at their backs, I mean, that'd be pretty much won at that point.
Yeah,
but, yeah.
It's especially with attorneys like Mike on our side. Hell, he probably
Yeah,
knows anything.
Ceranovich is like one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
And
So,
I,
and the other point I just wanted to make real quick. It seems to me at this point that Gamergate's become kind of like a silent guardian almost. I mean, silent until something happens, but it seems like we kind of just hang back because we've solved a lot of our own problems. We've gotten the ethics policies, we've gotten all the stuff that we were wanting to get accomplished done, most of it anyway. And now we just kind of hang back and we all just kind of come together whenever we're needed. So I certainly hope that people in Gamergate will just keep being Gamergate even after everything's done, because we've pretty much proven now that if there's any ethics problems, we're on it. So yeah, that's it.
yeah, you make a lot of sense with what you're saying, Sierra.
Well, with the
I,
lawsuit, I'm just thinking, if they actually, we're talking about it, a lot of you guys, and we're not. This would be the entire lawsuit would essentially take place in a Canadian courtroom. Now, I don't know the laws in Canada, and one thing that I pointed out in the Skype chat earlier is if Honey Badger did not sign any legal agreement that the Expo made them sign before they went in there, that had any like, oh, we reserve the right to remove anything that we might find offensive. So
I'm not
if
sure,
they
but
signed
they didn't do anything that offensive, though.
no, but if
Typically-
listen, if they did anything that the Expo felt they might be offensive, that is a big legal difference right there. If they signed that document, they can't sue them. So that is a big if right there. We don't know if they signed any such document, because if they did, they don't have a chance in court because they signed a legally binding agreement and they can't sue. But if they didn't, and if they did and they didn't have anything in there, then they have a case for sure, so especially given the evidence that Sarah mentioned.
Yeah, Sarah, do you want to finish your other points? Anything you want to?
Oh, I don't have anything else. I was just waiting to jump in to say bye. I didn't want to just leave
Okay.
without saying bye. That would be rude.
Yeah, okay.
All right,
I'm
I'll
gonna
see you
stay
guys
in
later.
See ya.
I'm gonna stay in channel, but I'll be back in like 30. I gotta run my daughter to work because she's a normal adult with a real fucking job. So I'll be back in like 30. So if you don't mind, I'll just stay in the channel.
Okay.
So what do we make of all this? Really, I mean.
What I have to say, when me and JT were talking last night about this whole situation, we were saying if they actually how these people were being treated, like Go Home Gamergate Girl and stuff like that, and they were kicked. Honey Badger was kicked because of it. The company kicked them while they were the ones that are being harassed. They could have a legal claim right there. You have to look at it in a certain light.
Yeah, but we don't even know if Honey Badger wishes to pursue legal matters. So
They
we shouldn't really.
Yeah,
No,
but I
yeah,
hope
but
they do.
but we should not make that decision for them. That's the
They're not
decision
going
they.
to. That is their decision, and if they make that decision, all I could say is this: what's the name? Just everyone, the Expo. The fact that they quoted Mary Sue, who is like a very biased website, could prove one thing. It could prove damning to them in a court of law. It
Yeah,
really could.
it's basically feminist central. I mean, Mary Sue is feminist central. It always has been. I mean, even Total Biscuit laughed when it like, oh my God, they linked to Mary Sue. He was talking about it on a co-optional podcast. I was like, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. All I know is that Twitter has been blowing up with Expo Gate, so that has apparently become a thing now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I can tell you one thing: the Calgary people, the Calgary Expo, will not hear the end of this anytime soon. And
Yeah, they made a big mistake.
A huge one, yeah.
Lisa, do you wanna chime in? Oh, Lisa.
Fraulein.
Oh, you gotta take off?
I might. Yeah, I gotta take off.
Aw. Alright.
All
See
right.
ya.
Not feeling that well. Talk to you guys later.
Yeah, if anyone from the chat wants in, tell me so I can send her away. Looks like we're gonna have room for people today. Leon, what do you think of this?
Me? I think this is total and complete bullshit. The fact that they think that they could get away with this, if like I've been saying this for a long time today, if this would happen in the States, there would have been no doubt about it. They would have literally had their asses chewed off by, because the U.S. has two different sides of the coins politically. There's two different sides of a coin politically. Like there's conservative and there's liberal, or Democrat and Republican, basically the sides. You flip heads or tails type of thing. If these liberals were to kick a bunch of women out that were just trying to be peaceful and stuff like that, trying to talk about equality and gaming and stuff like that, Fox News wanted to gain brownie points with the public. They could have gone after these people. People like that. I mean, if this would happen in the U.S., all I have to say is legally, they would also have been screwed big time. They would have been screwed big time because, for one, they're entitled to get a refund here in the States if they do something that stupid. Yeah, it's crazy. There's anti-discrimination laws here in the U.S., and that's discriminatory. So I just wish that would have happened here in the States, because they could have been that convention could have been fined out of their ass if that would have happened. I'm talking out of my ass. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I just watched Allison's video from Honey Badger. I mean, I feel for this girl. I really do. I mean, it's so sad. It really is. I mean, it's like I feel really bad for all of them, but they have a ton of support from a lot of people right now, and I hope I've been critical of Karen earlier, but I am actually 100% on her side this time, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah. If there's somebody I hate, I told my mom about this whole situation. If there's anybody in this world that could hate men more than anyone else, a woman, it's my own mother. She was treated like shit her whole life. Her father abandoned her and her entire family, and my dad left us, barely paid for child support at all, a very dead minimum of child support, if anything, he paid. Yeah, and the fact that this all happened, my mom doesn't hate men at all. My mom has more rights to hate a man than these social justice warriors. And here they are attacking these women because they're MRA, Men's Rights Association members, supporters. I'm saying to myself, these dumbasses don't have any right to hate men. They were never treated shit like by men ever.
Yeah. Delta, do you want to chime in?
Well, I mean, I heard about all this actually yesterday when I was eating lunch, because I was sitting there going through Twitter and noticed a bunch of webcomic people were attending were talking about it. And of course, most of those folks are more or less not for GamerGate, for probably fairly obvious reasons. But I think the initial, like, when it first started sort of thing that got me was that whole technicality that they were hung up on, the fact that they registered under the webcomic name rather than the Honey Badger radio name. So at first I was just sort of like, well, if they did that, then that's kind of shady. But then later on, when I was listening to Hat's stream there with, when they were on talking to everyone about that, and they, basically said, yeah, we just used a different email address. They knew full well who we were, and if they still let them in, to then turn around and kick them out over something, over basically a few comments made in a panel, which I listened to that panel also and found no real issue with it. Like, that's just fucked up. But just from kind of my perspective, I mean, I've done conventions myself since probably about 2002-ish, and I've also staffed a convention for the last decade. And I've never heard of this sort of thing happening in at least East Coast conventions, East Coast U.S. conventions. I mean, I've heard of people getting kicked out for breaking physical property. I've heard of people getting kicked out for jumping into pools wearing body paint. I've heard of people getting kicked out for, lots of other reasons, but I've never heard of anybody getting kicked out over words traded at a panel. Like that to me is just, what?
I got some new. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just got some news here. Milo just tweeted out, total PR disaster for Calgary Expo. 40,000 tweets, most of them condemning liberal censorship. What a mess! And the Calgary and Expo Gate is now topping GamerGate.
That's amazing.
So, oh man, they have really pissed off a lot of people. It's not just gamers. It's comic book people coming out of the woodwork, the people who stayed silent during the entire cover scandal, and these people are now saying, okay, we have to say something now. These are people who stayed quiet during the whole change the cover thing, and now they're coming out of the woodwork. There are people who enjoy just people who enjoy Comic-Con culture in general are coming out now saying, wait, why were they banned? I mean, some people even wrote, I don't agree with Karen Strawn and the MRAs, but I've listened to what was said and there's no harassment at all. Why were they banned? I mean, people are asking these questions now. And
well, it never made sense to begin with, because I mean, if you've been to any gaming, anime, or science fiction convention in the last decade, I mean, those have been the most inclusive, equal places I've been to. I mean, I've in my 10 years or so of staffing, I've never seen any of these sorts of issues, and I realize that's kind of like a very myopic view, because obviously I'm only in one part of the convention for the entire weekend, and I don't get to go around and actually witness the potentially 7 dozen other things that could be happening in the in the venue elsewhere. But I mean, I've the people that I've met and that I talked to, everybody that I've ever talked to was extremely friendly. Lots of, plenty of women exhibiting artwork, and I'm kind of a, an art, art guy of some sort. So, I mean, I one of the reasons I kept coming back to that convention every year was basically to purchase artwork from people. And I mean, it just boggles my mind that this sort of thing. I mean, I could expect them getting kicked out for causing a big scene, or throwing things around, or some type of physical altercation. But to walk into a panel and basically ask questions like a normal person would, to be kicked out for that, it's like they were. I mean, if this was like 4chan's 2006 panel at Otakon, I could understand kicking out for that, because that shit was insane. But this is not it's not.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine what would have happened if Comic-Con in San Diego pulled this stunt? It would have been huge. I mean, there
would have been federal investigators coming in.
Because
I mean, I don't. How big is Calgary Expo?
Comic-Con is huge.
Is it a big convention?
What, Comic-Con?
No,
Calgary Expo.
Calgary. I don't think it's that big. This is the first time I've ever heard of it.
Yeah, now everybody's heard of it.
Yeah, because
it's like Tumblr
because a bunch of no good piece of shit SJWs decided to take someone's kick people out of an expo who paid good money to go in
I
there.
take full comfort knowing that the Calgary Con will essentially become the Dash Con with the ball pit and the entire thing. That is what will remain of it once the SJWs take over completely. It will be this one crazy con where they have the ball pit and they have nobody wanting to show up. I predict that is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing was that I kept listening to was kind of how they were latching on the whole MRA thing. I mean, I personally, I'm not really kind of an MRA sort of person. I mean, I kind of support a lot of the things that they do for family court. I actually have coworkers and friends who have spent thousands of dollars fighting, custody battles for children from morally bankrupt women that they, that pretty much kind of did the male equivalent of running out on the family. And I mean, the fact that they have to spend that much time and money and emotional turmoil to care for their kids, I mean, I live in a state that's terribly biased towards women in family court cases, and so I mean, if that's one of the things that Honey Badger Radio talks about in these panels and things, and these people don't want to listen to that, that's not Honey Badger Radio's problem. That's
but the whole
people's problems.
I've been trying to educate myself a little more on the MRA thing, and they are not. I mean, here's the thing. When I look at feminist reasoning and I look at MRA reasoning, when I hear Karen Strong talk about a subject, I don't necessarily always agree, but I know one thing about Karen is that she uses facts, baseless, hard, cold facts, and she has facts and statistics to back up her claims, while if you ask any of the feminists to back up their claims, oh, we are harassers. If you can ask Karen, okay, do you have anything to back that up, and she won't get offended and say, no, you are harassing me. No, she'll say, okay, here's the facts. I respect that, actually, that she seems to know a lot about what she's talking about, and she actually backs up her claims with facts. I mean, like the interview. I mean, take a look at. There was an interview being done on British television where it was, and the question that they asked was, "Has Britain become bigoted towards men?" And they had a males' rights activist. They had Milo on there, and they had a feminist. And it's essentially the interview with Milo called the feminist darling, and she freaked the fuck out, and he did that on purpose just to trigger her, right? But anyways, he basically, I mean, the MRA right there, he basically made the point that suicide rates for men were huge compared to any women. I mean, men were committing suicide, and nobody bothered to check how men between the ages 18 to 30, I think it was, young men who might be lonely or suffer from emotional trauma. Nobody gave two shits about them, and nobody cared about their mental issues. Nobody cared about their mental health because they were men. So he made some very good points right there, and the feminists just dismissed it completely. It's like, no, it's like nobody's doubting that, but our problems are so much bigger. And it was like, oh god.
Well, the key word there be but.
Yeah. You know what? Our problems are so much bigger. Even bigger than sexism in video games. Our problems are a lot bigger. Just like how he said, just like how they say, yeah, our problems are bigger.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
Get the hell out of our media for once. Yeah. Let the people do whatever the hell they want in the media. Don't stop saying my feels, my feels, my feels. Let me tell you something. In wartime, let me do a little history here. During World War II, for instance, in England, and if that was like it was back in, if there was like a great war that was going on, Europe was occupied by an enemy nation, and England was being besieged, those social justice warriors would hide in a basement and cry They
Oh
would
God,
not
it's like Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit was
just
the
being.
guy.
I'm not trying to say that that'll happen again. Don't get mad at me, people of Britain or anyone in Europe. But I'm just saying, if it ever happened like that again, these social justice warriors would cower. They're not tough at all. These are
Well, yeah, they're fighting with words. I mean, words
they're
does not involve.
keyboard
Well,
warriors. That's all
they're
they
fighting
are.
with words because that's the communication medium of today. I mean,
Yeah, it is. It
that's
is.
how we do things. We do things over the internet now, and since that doesn't require any physical altercation of any sort,
Well,
they
Well,
don't have to.
well, I think
y-
I think that if I mean, you take a look at Europe as of right now. Europe is not exactly a safe place anymore. I mean, the security situation in Europe is really on edge a little bit right now. You have Russia making threats against different countries, and you have all these political turmoil, and then you have this bullshit that goes on inside countries where we have to be politically correct. People are not able to think for themselves. We are supposed to think in a certain way, and then you have mine and Andreadal's neighboring country, Sweden, which essentially sets Steve a horrible example on how to be a liberal country to the rest of Europe. And yeah, I mean, you have the foreign minister of Sweden say to Russian ambassador in Sweden, we're gonna fight your what was it, macho attitude to diplomacy with feminine
Oh man,
diplomacy.
that's not what you say to Putin. You say to him, "We're not gonna fight you with a feminine. We're gonna beat the living crap out of you." That's how you
I swear to
act
Christ,
bigger, carry a bigger stick. That's how you fight
Pu-
someone with an ego like Putin. You have to be bigger than him.
I told a friend of mine from Stockholm. He said, "Are you coming back to Sweden anytime soon?" The only way I would return to Sweden if Putin had invaded it and the Russian flag would be swinging from the Swedish cross. I might return to Sweden then.
Oh man, that was wrong, buddy.
Well then, politically correct.
That's funny. Man,
And you know what the worst part of that is? He didn't disagree.
Oh wow.
Oh man, but you know what's so funny about that? I can't think of what I was gonna say. I was laughing so hard,
I did
lost
have
it.
And just to clarify, I'm not a supporter of Putin. I just think
No,
Sweden
not
would
either.
I just think Sweden would be a nicer country to visit if he was in charge.
I just want to throw something in.
That's how bad their government is.
Yeah.
You need Putin to be in charge. Even if Putin could do a better job.
Let's.
Sorry.
Joshua, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Oh, I was just gonna say, regarding the issue with fighting with words earlier. You always hear the saying, "The pen is sharper than the sword," but the problem is with the media today that sword that has become the pen has inexhaustible ink. You can't run out, and people just keep writing their stupid crap all over media, and it's sad to see that multiple cultures are being generalized by somebody's specific issues. That's where the media falls short for these people with specific ideals taking over media that could be more localized, more important. I'm pretty sure people in Sweden don't want to hear bullshit from American feminists. So.
No, they have their own feminist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's their local. Yeah, listen to those guys. No, another remark regarding the Russia thing. It's amazing when you can see a book called The Animal Farm, which was supposed to reflect on Russian suffrage, or excuse me, not suffrage, Russian Soviet, Soviet suppression, political stuff in the, was it 50s? Yeah, and you see that book being more accurate for other countries. That's when there's a very interesting thing going on in world politics.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking, there was a discussion on Norwegian TV this evening, actually. I don't know if you saw this, Andrea, at all, but they had, in Sweden, they just introduced a gender-neutral term for sex
Yeah, I know.
called hen. And what hen essentially means is, instead of saying he or she, we're to refer to people as hen. H-E-N.
Oh my god.
And they are actually considering it in this fucking country. And I was like, if they do that here in Norway, then kiss my ass, Norway.
I thought the Norwegians would slap the living crap out of the Swedes if the Sweden told them what to do.
Pretty much, but
it's just like Texas trying to tell Montana what to do. We tell you.
No.
California trying to say, it's like California trying to say to my home state of Montana, trying to tell us what to do. It's like we'll slap the living crap out of you and say, "Go to hell." We say that to San Francisco all the time.
Just a little note here. I'm from Texas.
The whole idea is
I'm from Texas.
The whole idea here is essentially that a lot of these, the highest rate of immigrants, a lot of Norwegians say, oh, it's the Pakistanis, oh, it's those people. No, the highest rate of immigrants are actually from Sweden. So there are no border controls. The bastards can sneak up on us every time. It's like the Canadian. It's like the Canadian.
There's a reason why they're immigrating. They want to get the hell out of there. That's why they're immigrating.
No, they're bringing their politics over, bastards.
Their politics.
You know what? Everything. You know what? I'm not sure how it'll change, but I know there's gonna be a change coming up. If there's like a great change come up, like something happens, disaster, war, something like that. If a disaster or war happens, feminism won't survive. Trust me.
Oh,
it's a temporary issue for a domesticated.
No, I'm just saying.
I've been writing Putin every week. I mean, come on, invade Sweden. We're behind you, man.
Let's get back on topic, guys.
They have to sell gas to them first.
Let's get back on topic with the Calgary thing. Joshua, you didn't really go into your thoughts on this.
Oh, I'm sorry, say that again.
Calgary Expo.
Oh, I was catching up on it just probably about 30 minutes ago. And from what I heard from you guys, I think that's pretty ridiculous because, if you have a place full of separated ideas, booths, you have places to go and see different products. If the person doesn't like a product or the atmosphere that it has, the idea behind it, the theme, then it is your right and choice to move on and not deal with it. If it bothers you so much that you don't want it there, then that's your problem, not theirs. I mean, that's just pretty straightforward. That's pretty straightforward.
But it's important to note that during the whole Calgary thing, a lot of people said it was because of the MRA issue that they got kicked out, but a lot of people are saying now that no, it's because of the banner that had GG printed on it. The GamerGate, and so they're making up excuses as they go along. The whole expo has been making up excuses
to why. Depends on who it was that made the complaint. All the webcomics people were complaining about GamerGate. All the non-webcomics people were complaining about MRAs.
Yeah, there was a reporter who there was actually a reporter on Twitter that actually wrote to to Calgary Expo and said, "Oh no, I see you have a GamerGate supported booth supporting GamerGate. What is this nonsense?" And then the Calgary Expo wrote back, "We will investigate this immediately." I was like, "What?"
It's funny to me because seeing the way that people have reacted to GamerGate since I kind of jumped on board that ship in September. It's funny to me because people are concluding before they get facts, and at the same time, it's a personal opinion. It's almost like a political party. Everyone has one. Everyone has an asshole, and if they're not playing Jehovah's Witness in your booth, your other booths in the area for the expo, then I don't see a problem with it, and it's up to the discretion of the company. It's up to the discretion of the company whether or not to talk about it. And it's their fault if they lose their viewers because they're talking to the people that they've grown in a community. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's both business and freedom of expression.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to make a comment. I'm sorry Lisa left because I really wanted her to be here when I said this, but she said leave the politics out of it. I'm sorry, but we have reached a point where that is no longer fucking possible.
That is not possible.
But that's the point. We're not just one side of the dice. We're not just liberals. We're not just conservatives. We're both.
That's it. I mean,
that's just the point. I know quite a few. I know quite a few Democrats in here, but I also know Jack is a Reagan-era Republican, so it's like a mixture. It's not that anymore. It's a social politics almost. It's like people that want more control over people that want freedom. We're pro-freedom. They're pro-authoritarian.
Yeah. So Leon,
but
let me ask you this question as far as liberals goes. If you're, I don't know if you're not, but how many lefts does it take to make a right?
I have no idea.
That is my conclusion to you are both liberal and conservative or whatever.
Yeah,
I think we can.
I'm neither side.
I think we can all. I think we can all agree that if you have gone far too left, I mean, if you are on the far left extremes, taking a few steps to the right may not be a bad idea, and if you are on the far right, taking a few steps to the left might not be such a bad idea. I think what we're really trying to say here that we all have different political opinions, but most of us are moderates and support liberal values.
Well,
And we also support freedom of speech. That's one of the things that I support.
That's one
Liberal
of the most important
views.
things. Pretty much the most important thing with political.
If the First Amendment in the U.S. Constitution is any group that heavily supports the First Amendment, or basically the First Amendment is just a group, it's GamerGate, because freedom of religion, speech, press, and assembly. GamerGate is all of those things.
Yeah, it's basically an additional, hat to wear for freedom of speech and censorship, which is why I really enjoy it.
How is it in Norway? What's in the Constitution in Norway covering freedom of speech?
Well, we have the Force Majesté law, so where we're not allowed to talk shit about the king. We can if I criticize the king, I might be arrested. But according to Norwegian law, that law has never been practiced, but it's actually in the law. But we have a pretty liberal view on freedom of speech, but there has been issues here in Norway with censorship on different forums. And we are starting to see a lot of feminist issue being taken up and discussed in Norwegian newspaper. There was this campaign in Norway recently on Twitter, actually, that was called, I mean, I'm translating here from Norwegian, but the essential campaign hashtag was "I have experience." That was the hashtag, and it was written in Norwegian. And it was a bunch of women basically complaining about, talking about all the horrible things that have happened to them, and some of those stories were really horrible. That actually was physical assault. So that were very strong stuff to read, but a lot of these stories were like, "Oh no, the guy gave me strange looks."
The whole raping with the eyes thing.
Yeah, it was basically it was a lot of that stuff as well. So you had serious assault stories, and then you had people like, there was this guy who looked at me strangely on the subway, and then he followed me, and then he turned.
Okay,
and
that is creepy.
That is creepy, but that is.
No.
But
and he followed. I think he was following me, but then he went into 7-Eleven and he bought something, and then he walked the other way. It was like
okay, that's not follow. He had an agenda. He went to 7-Eleven and he got his food. And
stuff. It was like
I get accused. When I leave something, I'm not even looking in the direction of the woman. I'm just like looking. I do this just to be purposeful. I do this on purpose. I will not look at anyone. I will look at the area where I'm heading out to and stuff like that. And I got one time accused of stalking a girl when I was just walking, and I didn't even look at her. I just went over the other way. There was an officer that saw me, and the officer says, "Don't ever lie to me again," to the woman. This happens. This bullshit happens. There are some women that are crazy. There are crazy women out there, trust me. There are a lot of crazy people, but there's also horrible men out there that will hurt women. They're predators.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm telling you something, both examples of what I'm saying here, like men that'll hurt women and women that'll lie, they're both predators. They want to hurt.
It's not one-sided. It's really not one-sided. And the media has the tendency to contrast any really, really, really bad things.
And this Calgary thing proves as well. This thing at Calgary also proves it. Like, for instance, the women, they keep saying that GamerGate are the predators, and yet these women here prove that they are the true predators. They're the ones that are trying to do this. They said, "Go home, GamerGate girl." They acknowledged that GamerGate had women in it. That's something we should make this a big deal over. It's the fact that they acknowledge that there are women in GamerGate.
Oh, they have. It's been.
But this part right here, this is like a huge example. They're trying to say it's only guys again. We now have proof that it isn't.
No, people have been spreading
Leon,
that around.
Can I make a devil's advocate?
What?
Sure, go ahead.
And I think it's very important. the thing was, did just one person say that though?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, does that one person equal all the other people that are fighting on that side?
Nope.
Actually, there's
Because
quite a
that's
few
the
people that
same
said it.
problem that we're dealing with them doing to us.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you're right. You know, we do have it. We do have other people, and I think that we should really vocalize on that. But I don't want to see people pinpointing one specific person because it really
Actually, no.
glorifies them.
This is among many things that we caught. This is in the
Oh, okay.
information.
Okay.
This is in our. Let me put it like this: if we're taking all of anti-GamerGate to a court of law, figuratively here in the U.S. court of law, we need to get the evidence, and we're still collecting evidence against them. This is a. I mean, it takes. It'll take on some murder cases, it could take up to 2 years to collect evidence,
You're
and right now.
absolutely right.
We only had 7-8 months of collecting evidence. We need more time.
And I've spent time as well, you know, logging Twitter data, and actually, I've been putting effort into that area as well. So
I live in a
yeah.
town I live in the same town with the very popular SJW sympathizer, Hank Green. I live in the same town he lives in, so all I have to say is this: if I ever met him and he ever asked me about GamerGate, I know for certain that I actually have enough evidence to show him that GamerGate is not bad. But I could always use more. I'm just saying, if I ever come across
you're right.
social justice warriors, that's what we need to be still doing right now, is collecting evidence. And this expo is in the major evidence, just like a bunch of other bullshit that happened in GamerGate over the last few months, like the Dobson tweets. We know that those weren't GamerGate. We have those archived and stuff, so we know that it didn't say hashtag GamerGate, so we know Brianna Wu and Anita Sarkeesian are lying.
Yeah. This is the no shit, Sherlock, but the one thing to consider when dealing with Twitter data, by the way, is that it is technically owned by Twitter. And one fun thing that I did read while I was looking up legals is that if you publicly release any Twitter data that is deleted, technically, even though Twitter has been very lenient on us, technically they could take you up on their terms of service violation. But that's just one thing that I would be aware of, because it is a corporation. Corporations tend to lead towards public opinion. So, but to use those things, you can use them in court. You can use that in court. It's just public third-party stuff. That's all.
Yeah, but right now we have all this data. We have all this data that we could do, and like how you said, but we could also have a judge subpoena for all the tweets. If we ever had to take this to court, if something ever happened that was so big, if something big happened and there's a massive lawsuit, either we're being sued or one of our own got hurt, and one of our own, God forbid, if someone ever got killed and we had to get information about GamerGate, we could have a judge. We could give all the things to either the prosecutor or the defense team, and
because that's what it's there for.
And the team and the judge, we tell them about this stuff, but Twitter's going to do this, but you'll have to have the judge subpoena it, and when the judge subpoenas it, nothing can happen to us.
Yeah, no. And I would love to see a class action suit. The problem is we have way too many people that want to be in that class action suit because there's always a limit to it.
But you could have a lot of people in a class action suit. That's happened.
Oh yeah, no, it has happened. It's just there are limits.
There's only one way that this could ever happen, is if someone as big as CNN, Gawker Media, or something like that makes a false statement, like calls us all rapists. There's our deprivation lawsuit.
I was part of a class action lawsuit against Circuit City that had 1.5 million people involved in it.
Oh wow, I must be looking at a different countries.
Yeah,
I was talking more of a country like
Canada.
I think that's what it was.
No,
but I'm thinking because there's a lot of people from many different countries here, so that's what I was saying.
No,
well, I do know that there was a lawsuit in Canada, but for PlayStation though.
Yeah, but the whole thing with the Calgary thing is just so fucking ridiculous that it's become so big now. They tweeted out the article and then tried to delete it, but as we know, the internet is forever. where they linked to the Mary Sue article. We also had the guy from CD Projekt Red trying to stir some shit. I mean, it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
There's
it's
true.
really bad, especially what happened when they found out the tweets from a little 14-year-old boy.
Wow.
Oh boy. You saw the tweets from William. You saw the news from William Usher, right?
No.
Well, apparently, someone was doing false flag operations against GamerGate, pulling that same old Smash Bros. Code thing.
Good
Oh.
lord.
Well, what's gonna happen with that then?
Well, the kid was innocent. He didn't know any better. He was trying to get codes for the Mewtwo, and someone claimed that they had codes for Mewtwo. What happened was the kid basically wanted he kind of was kind of influenced to say that we're gonna firebomb that GamerGate was going hashtag GamerGate firebombed Calgary Expo.
Oh yeah.
Who influenced them?
Some user. It was kind of an interesting story.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And it
that's-
really pissed me off what the guy did. Let me see if I could find it. Because according to William Usher, he kind of found the tweets and got the screenshots, including they're archived.
Jeez. Oh man.
It pissed me off.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I'm not really
Yeah,
I'm not really
the
surprised.
kid-
I'm not really surprised though, but it really pisses me off that they used this kid in this way. Like, man.
Yeah, because the kid wanted a Mewtwo code for Smash Bros. The guy claimed that he had Mewtwo Smash codes, and he tried to pull the same stunt as Pterodax did.
Oh shit! Not this again.
Yeah, not very original, and some kid fell for it.
Yeah, but kids are kids. They're
I know.
not
It
full,
was-
they don't have fully
I
developed
was
brains.
pissed.
They're not
I was
like us.
pissed because
Hey.
they used a kid to do this.
Kid, if you're listening next time, kid, try eBay. It's a lot safer, and check the feedback system.
Mhm.
Yeah, if kid, let me explain this. This is like getting free candy from a stranger. Don't bother getting codes. If they're gonna offer codes for Smash Bros, you better just go with Nintendo. If Nintendo announces they're giving away free codes, just go with Nintendo. Don't trust anyone else
Hi guys.
claiming that they have the code.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, all I have to say is, just stop acting like dumbasses. Don't believe whatever comes out of people's mouths. Always be skeptical. Always be skeptical.
Oh, yeah. On Driddle, on a side note, have you heard anything from Deus Ex yet?
No, he it's kind of personal, but I don't want to really say what happened. But something happened to him, but he's fine now.
Okay.
He couldn't go to it because of something. I don't want to say.
No.
Okay. I'm just glad he's okay.
Yep.
Yeah, he's kind of out of it, but yeah. Otherwise, it would the stream would have happened earlier.
Okay.
He approached me a few hours ago and said, he couldn't.
No, that's fine. Let's not talk about that on here. I was just curious.
Yeah. So do we have any more we want to say on the whole Calgary thing?
No, I'm good.
Just this right here to all you antis. Be mindful, or tell the convention owners out here. Give me a second here. I opened up the second stream. Be mindful of how you try to ban people, and this is to all you antis out there and to the convention owners. If you ban them in the wrong place, like for instance in the States, you could be facing discrimination lawsuits. I'm being truthful here. In the United States, you could face a discrimination lawsuit, the same lawsuit that was put in place to protect people that you claim to be protected under. You could be breaking that rule.
Yeah.
No one's above the law here, not even you guys.
My
women.
my final word on this would be essentially be you know what, to all the antis who may be out there and who may be listening, don't stop this. You are not helping any cause. You are creating more division within a community, and you're not helping. You're only turning more people against you, and I'm just shocked that you don't see that, because you're only turning people against you. You're not helping anybody. You're not you're not on a noble crusade or anything. Don't even think that for a second. You are simply trolling people to a point where they just are going to have enough. And once they turn on you, they will turn on you badly. It will become a clusterfuck. You will be on your own, outside, all alone, and then you can debate these issues in your echo chamber with no one else bothering to listen to you. That is what will happen. And that is my final word on this.
You're bullies, and that's all you are.
Exactly.
Alright, let's move on to the next thing, which is basically a GamerGate story. Let me post the thing here. It's from Red, but it's nice to hear like new members just telling why they're GamerGate supporters and seeing new people introducing themselves in GamerGate. Here is the thing. There we go. What do you guys think of this? I just thought it was kind of cool to see. Just telling his story about that he discovered all this, and yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I read about it.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys think?
I can't see the article.
Oh, okay.
Skype.
Yeah, let me send it on Skype. One sec. Here we go. Meantime, what are the rest of you thinking of this?
Well, it's nothing special really, in the sense that is someone who had an idea on GamerGate, have seen what was really happening, and changed his mind. I believe that outside the few who started GamerGate, many people in GamerGate today has a similar story, really, because we grew a lot. I mean, we didn't started with these numbers, so clearly there is a lot of people that weren't on the side of GamerGate when all started, and they became supporter of GamerGates. Yeah.
When it all started, I didn't really care because I was like, okay, this is just the kids freaking out.
Me too.
And then all of a sudden, I get pulled into it, you know, and I'm about the most politically incorrect bastard out there because fuck you, I'm old. And I got pulled. My kids are getting pulled into it, you know. And my kids are, I raised up strong, tough girls, and they're getting pulled into it because they're like, this is bullshit. This isn't how real life is. I guess it is if you've got a helicopter parent who swaddles you up and kisses your boo-boos when you're 30. But I mean, I didn't mean to get into it, and I got forced into it by being attacked. So, and I don't respond as soon as I get attacked.
Things like Glee.
And like my daughter said, they ruined Glee with the political correctness, so that's starting to piss her off, so she's getting into it.
Yeah. I started to really care about GamerGate around the end of October, I believe.
Oh man, that is a good one.
Before, to be honest, I was never against GamerGate. At the start, when I read about the various gamers are dead, etc., I was so sure that it was such such an error for the game journalism that I was absolutely sure that was a bad article and they would retract everything like a week after. I was absolutely sure because you cannot say those things to your audience. And
Yeah.
then a month later, I discovered that not only they didn't retract nothing, but they piled on with accusation of misogyny, of terrorism, you are worse than ISIS. And that is what made me join GamerGate.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to think, how I got into all of this. I first, of course, heard about the Zoe Quinn thing, but I didn't
Yeah.
care about that at all. I was like, oh,
I
know.
don't I
No,
don't care today.
no, I mean,
I
yeah,
don't
right,
give a
but
fuck.
yeah, but I just wanted to say that once the Gamers Are Dead article, then I started to get interested. I wasn't
Yeah.
on board with anything yet, but even though after those 9 articles, I figured, hey, it's the gaming press. I mean, they have sucked for a long time, in my
I think it's
opinion.
where most people got
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, but then I started to see a certain pattern, and then I met Robin Getting online. And all of a sudden, I was involved in streams talking about these issues with
Yeah.
people I never met. And once Shrek stopped doing his stream, I somehow, kind of ran into Andrea Dahl by coincidence. I think it was like, hey, he's Norwegian, I'm Norwegian. You want to come on the stream? Yeah, sure. And I've been on his stream ever since. Basically, it's been a hell of a ride.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to say anything else about this, or just move on?
I mean, I was going to say that. I mean, I've kind of. I mean, I also have been pretty much following it since the original Zoe post, but I've kind of taken sort of a middle road approach. I was really kind of like early on. I listened to a lot of what Eric Kane had to say because he kind of had a lot of good points that I thought kind of hit both sides without actually going further into either side. But even just from my perspective, I mean, I'm in my 30s. I have all these other adult responsibilities to do. So I don't really have a lot of time for gaming. In fact, it's pretty much regulated to just Saturdays and Sundays, if anything. So I'm not even like the target demographic that these people are going after, the whole hardcore gamer segment and all that shit. So I mean, when I started reading the Gamers Are Dead articles, I'm just like, well, what the fuck? I'm not even this person you're talking about, but I'm offended at it still. So I'm like, something's got to give here.
Well, here's the other thing too is our adversaries have made it so that they're dragging this into the big boy arena. Didn't work just us. They're getting politicians involved in everything. And there's been a lot of
Jack, we can barely hear you, man.
Yeah.
Let me boost this mic. 1 sec.
I've got a fan on my Mac, and it sometimes fucks with it. But anyway, they're bringing in politicians and stuff, and they're busy running around right now deleting tweets and deleting evidence. And a lot more normal people are getting involved in it. A friend of mine, was talking to me the other night. We're talking on Skype while we were fucking around and killing everything aside on payday. And he was like, so what's this about the Gamergate thing? And he goes, tell me you don't stand with all this suppression of free speech. What the SJWs don't realize is your average American will fight for free speech to the fucking death. They may not like, there's that line. I may not agree with what you have to say, but I will fight to the end to defend it.
Yeah.
Because that's...
Voltaire.
You have the right in America. You have the right to say anything you want. You have the right to stand on the front house lawn and yell that Obama's an asshole at the White House and not get arrested.
Well,
You have the
well,
right to say anybody is an asshole. You have the right to act like an asshole. What you're not free of is consequences.
yeah. I don't want to be a special snowflake, but I kinda get a little bit offended when an American says so, because it almost seems like in places like Europe, you don't have this free speech, but is basically the whole Western civilization.
Oh,
I mean,
everybody has. You have free speech. A lot of nations do.
yeah,
But
yeah. No, I say so because there is really many Americans who don't believe that.
well, that's their problem because they're ignorant and uneducated, and that's
Yeah.
on their teachers and their parents. But let's compare for a second. You bring that up. In Europe, if a law comes up to suppress your free speech, all of you look at it and go, yes, this is a bad idea. Let us write to our congressman or whatever, or representative. Here in America, if somebody sees something that violates free speech, it's get your goddamn guns, let's go out there, we're not going to stand for this shit, we're Americans. It's a big different level of excitement, man, trust me.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I'm gonna
do not underestimate France.
I
mean, when
you know what?
something like that happens in France,
We saw
you
the
have-
French resistance during
Yes.
World War II. We do not underestimate you
No,
guys.
no,
I
no,
know.
no, wait, hang on.
I'm
hang
not
on,
French.
hang on,
I'm not French.
hang on.
I'm of the most cowardly country ever. I'm
But
Italian, so
I actually explained
I
this.
don't matter.
I just wanted to say one thing about that. The whole idea, one recent example of France's freedom of speech is the Charlie Hebdo thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
People rallied around free speech and they were marching through the streets of Paris. So,
Yep.
yeah.
But see, Europe is the sophisticated older brother to America's teenage getting into fights over women and yelling at the top of his lungs and jumping up and down the couch, little brother. So you guys are a lot calm than we are.
Yeah, where you guys
Definitely.
have had a millennial of war, fighting, politics, everything. Heck, the Magna Carta I think is what it was 1200 I think. Yeah, the Magna Carta is like 600 years or 500 and some odd years older than the U.S.'s. So
Yeah.
yeah,
hey
Europe
guys.
is the older brother.
Hey guys, just letting you know I have to go, but
Okay,
it was
see you
really
later.
nice, really nice talking to you guys. So, yeah, have a good chat.
See ya.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
boy.
We
But,
stay on topic. Next topic. I don't know.
Well, I could explain my story.
Yeah, sure.
Well, how I got into it? Well, I could tell you this: it wasn't Monday Matt. It wasn't IA
Yeah.
that I got into GamerGate. It was Mr. Repsion.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he did his video on the whole issue about Zoe Quinn, and I did. It does sound familiar because I did encounter her in when I heard about her game Depression Quest.
Mm-hmm.
The way she acted, the way she treated people on Depression Quest in the Steam forum community, terrible.
Yes.
She treated people like she had an iron fist.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Doesn't
people
surprise me.
kept criticizing her game and bother. It was like there was like a lot of people that criticized the game and felt that game wasn't really that good enough.
Well, it's made in 2013 or
Mhm.
12, and
Yeah,
it
was
has
around
worse
for a while
mechanics.
when I heard about
It
the
has
news.
it has worse mechanics than Zork, and it was
Yeah,
in
and the funny thing was-
1980. 1980. Okay.
1980s, the 90s. I was like looking at this thing, and a lot of people were saying that it was a flash game. They
Yeah.
felt they didn't want to vote on this game. They just were like, no, I don't want to vote on this game. But it got voted in anyway out of sympathy because people felt bad for her after what happened to her. Because they all read it on Kotaku.
Well, I don't know if it's accurate, but I heard that the Version Quest was greenlighted after Robin Williams' death for the pressure.
Yeah, he used Robin Williams to do that.
Because she capitalized on Robin Williams' death as hard as she could.
And Zoe Quinn's a scumbag because of it. But I have to say one thing. Before I'm gonna head out right now, Andrew.
And of course, I met a lot of people. After what happened to IA and everything, things started going downhill.
Well, he's back now.
Andrew, is he back or I don't see?
No,
him.
he dropped out of.
Because this whole celeb drama thing happened, and it was like people had a hard time trusting people.
Yeah.
And because there was people posting like shit posting on 8chan trying to blame all the stupid stuff on the e-celebs and everything, bringing up the Patreon with Monday Matt. It just started to get crazy, and I realized why, because of the whole freaking Tumblr Tumblr / something awful goons tried to pull this crap against every board.
Well, it is possible. To be honest, I can't stand Internet Aristocrat. I can't stand him. And I believe he was in GamerGate for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, he is about SJW, about Tumblr, etc. I mean, they might be obnoxious, they might be enemies of GamerGate, whatever you want.
But they're just idiots.
But GamerGate is about journalistic ethics. If you are about something else, you have no place in GamerGate.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, a lot of his early streams focused on that
There was
too.
a lot of interesting good times with GamerGate, especially when Robin Giving was around when he did the whole live streams. It's just sad after what happened with the Tom Sawyer incident.
Yeah.
Because we found out from Nidoran. Nidoran kind of went off on a hinge off of these people, started trying to go up against everybody, blaming them for a bunch of stuff that they didn't mean to do. He just went off on a hinge.
Yeah.
And we're now older and much more responsible.
And we realize why he did this, because basically he was the one that kind of, let's just say he was the one that showed off he was the only one that did the information dump for the whole indie IGF thing. And I don't know how he got involved in Gamergate, but it's just sad that he went and did this to everybody in Gamergate, within Gamergate.
Okay. Well, a lot of people
I'm gonna get out right now, guys.
unwarranted
I said I would
self-importance.
head out, but I put a video on the link over there. Watch the beginning of it. You will get the joke. It's about Anita Sarkeesian's time thing. I know you guys will cover that later, but RTU decided to thank someone we all know fondly. You guys can see it.
Because that guy created a lot of drama in Gamergate, especially the whole freaking Illuminati thing.
Well,
you might remember that one.
Yeah.
The Illuminati thing was just freaking bullshit. I mean, every movement suffers from the same problem. It suffers from people who, with a lot of unwarranted self-importance, who just want to, do things for themselves or do things for their, little cabals or whatever. And I mean, that's fine. You want to do what you want. I mean, I can't stop you. Nobody else is going to stop you. But when it starts getting in